that water down our desire for God. So today's Sunday Life message, we title it The Powers of Prayer, because we discussed about prayer in one of our last revival service. But today, we want to dig deep about prayer because of the urgency and the necessity of prayer in our life, in the life of every believer. Prayer is one of the things that we teach most times, but people did not carry it out, not because they are not willing to pray, but because the ability and the grace is not there. So because prayer is not something you do mechanically, we are not talking about prayer of some certain people that will write it in a book and begin to read it every morning. That is not prayer. We're talking about prayer, and we're talking about prayer, we're talking about unlocking God's power through prayer. So, in our context today, we are discussing unlocking God's power through prayer. It's only through prayer we access God's power. In fact, there are many things that Jesus have achieved at the cross of Calvary. You cannot enjoy them without prayer. You cannot enjoy the benefit of cross. You cannot enjoy the benefit of the death of Jesus at the cross of Calvary if you don't know how to pray. Prayer is like ATM, using ATM to go to machine and withdraw your money. Prayer is the only thing that says God's will, access God's strength, God's power in our life. So with prayer, we access God. We access His power, His will in our life. So prayer is irrepressible. You cannot replace prayer with church activities. You cannot replace prayer with whatever you are doing in your life, because prayer is irrepressible. Your activities in the church cannot replace prayer. Whatever you are doing for God cannot replace prayer. You can be running every day for God. If you don't pray, you are running around, will be in vain, because it's only through prayer we access God's promise. So today we are talking about unlocking God's power through prayer, because the Bible says, and when we talk about prayer, we are not just talking about anyhow prayer, because if you talk about prayer, there are many people who pray, even unbelievers then pray. So even though that have not received Jesus, that are in church, they still pray also. So when we talk about prayer, we're not just talking about prayer of everybody. The prayer we're talking about today is the fervent prayer of the righteous. So that is why it is important that you understand the